Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing well. Hello Blake, thank you for joining me.
G'day, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I hope everybody is doing well tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you so much, Blake. I appreciate it.
Not at all.
Sorry
No,
we're
it's always an honor to be invited. So appreciate that, and g'day to everyone who's here.
sorry we are a few minutes late. We doing a few things backstage. Let's see who's here. Hello Tammy, Yellowstone, S, Holly, Visine, Ivy, Holly, let's see, Ray Aquatics. Who else is in here? I think that's, yeah, hello everybody. Hey GRB, good day to you. Matt, hello. Steven, Ian, hope you guys are all doing well today. Hope you had a great New Year's. Thank you for joining me, Blake.
Not at all. Not at all. Actually, it's quite funny because we scheduled it quite a while ago, and I was like, oh yeah, Monday should work. It should be fine. And then obviously I forgot that it was a public holiday, so I was just quickly scrambling, setting them up on the Nintendo, and that can just look after them for a little while.
Oh, I'm sorry. So when do they go back then?
Well, they don't, I say school, but it's actually daycare. So they in it every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, except for when it's a public holiday. So
And it's still a public holiday? Because isn't it
yeah,
the
it's
3rd?
the belated New Year's Day public holiday here. So yeah.
Okay, got it. Because I'm like, isn't it already what? Isn't it? Yeah, it's the 2nd here, so it's like the 3rd there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but I don't know why it just carries on to the next working day. So since the Saturday was the New Year's Day, the public holiday is actually on the Monday.
Oh, well, that's kind of nice for you guys.
It is, but with how daycare works in Australia, I'm sure this is thrilling for everyone here, but you still have to you still have to pay even though they don't go on a public holiday. So for the
Oh,
last Christmas, Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, and then New Year's Day, we've had 3 public holidays that I've had to wrestle the kids and also pay for someone to be caring for them during the day, which they weren't.
oh,
So
that's true. Yeah, okay.
that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
probably not quite as fun. Hey, Kenny. Hope you are well. Hope everybody had a great holiday. Um, hello, Levi. Hope you are well. Who else? I think Visine. I think I said hello to you. I think I see everybody else. I'm sorry if I missed you.
A lot of
Thank you
people are
so much
interested.
for coming, Blake.
A lot of people are interested that you're in the car. Are you going somewhere? Returning home? What's the go?
Um, we were having a family dinner because it's 7 here. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the car because they're all inside and they just finished. I think they finished eating, but they're still talking. So
Right.
I'm in
Okay.
the car right now. um, hello, Grant. Um, of course, my mother decided to schedule this. And I know I had scheduled this for like 3 weeks ago, but of course we started eating at 5 and now it's already 7. So, oh well.
Yeah. The
It's been 2 hours,
scheduling
but
ahead of time is a bit of a dangerous thing because sometimes it can be so early that you forget entirely, but then also you need to make sure that everyone's available as well. So
well that's why I wanted to make sure that you were able to come, and I didn't want to do it too late because I know you're busy, and I knew it was a holiday, so I was like,
yeah,
well, I better ask him a little while beforehand to make sure
no,
he
it's
can
cool.
come. So thank you.
No, I don't actually get asked to do stuff like this very often, so I usually do it, to be honest. I think yourself, Big Tank Hank, who went on his one, and before that it was probably rest in peace, Sand Creek Aquatics, all that time ago. So that's
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm okay, that's kind of surprising, but thank you so much. I feel honored. Thank
Yeah.
you. No pressure there.
That's all good. All good. No, I enjoy
Um,
it. It's good.
I wanted to make sure this was a good time, and I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I get the time zone correct because I know it's a Monday there. So I wasn't sure if you'd be busy, but I figured over the holidays you might be available. I
Yeah,
wasn't
we'll give
quite
it a
sure,
go.
but thank you.
We're here now.
Yeah, Yellowstone. I don't know. Me driving is a really smart idea. I think Fender I think having Fender drive would probably be better than me driving. I think Fender would do a better job at driving than I would. I don't know how well he'd do, but I think he'd probably do a better job than me. Let's see. Hello, Wes. Hope you are well. Let's see. Blake, do you mind telling me a little bit about yourself?
Sure,
Like
sure. In
you've got
terms of
about 20
the
60
hobby
minutes.
or my outside of the hobby life or anything in
Both.
particular? Both? Okay.
Both. As
Sure.
much as you're willing.
Yeah, no, I'm open. Um, so obviously I live in Australia, hence why I talk all funky like and all that sort of gear. Live in Victoria, which is in the bottom of the east coast of Australia. By day, I'm a project manager, civil engineer, technically. And yeah, I have two good sons, 5 and 3, that keep me busy as well, and a dog as well.
Thank you, Kenny. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
so yeah, life is busy, but in terms of the hobby, I guess the thing that I always credit the my success to is research. I actually just watched YouTube for like 5 years before I ever got a fish tank,
Oh, geez.
and that
Wow.
was because I was studying at the same time. So I was living in all these little apartments and whatnot, and my wife and I were, well, she wasn't my wife then, but now she is. She was always like, you can't get fish tanks. It's going to be a pain to move to the next apartment or whatever, and we don't have room for them and all this. And so I just sort of got to my fill through aquarium cult videos mainly, but I delved into some others as well, KG Tropicals and
Nice.
all this. And
So you live vicariously through them
yeah, and
for
actually,
quite a while.
it was crazy because really what I wanted is neon tetras, and then I think I looked up how to care
Oh.
for neon tetras or something, and the video that came up was Corey, and he was in his old cinder block stand kind of fish room, and
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm having issues trying to buy a little box of water to put half a dozen fish in, and this guy's got like an entire room full of fish tanks, and I just didn't really understand how that would work. Like, how is this guy not just his whole life is this, and obviously some of us, it is our whole life. But I just I couldn't understand the mechanics around what is happening here. How is this, electricity bill not, blowing through the roof and all this stuff? And
Yeah, sometimes I'm surprised it isn't. It
yeah, yeah,
hasn't. I have
it,
like 5 different extension cords with all these plugs, and I'm like just waiting for it to blow out. I'm like, okay, how many can I get? So far I
yeah.
haven't gotten there yet, but
And then we
I'm
just
just like, how
recently
many can I
moved into
get?
this place in the last month or so, and
Yes.
the old house was definitely like that, a lot more sketchy. For a while, I ran the entire fish room on one extension cord that ran out of the laundry and then
Oh,
outside
wow.
along the balcony, and that was bad. But here is definitely more purpose built.
Good. Well, I know you're starting from scratch with it, so that's great.
It'll
I know
never be
I know.
finished.
Well, it's never finished. I think Trent from Well Done Tanks he just set up his fish room in his house, and I think now they're looking to move again. So, uh, yeah, it's never quite done. I think we're always making changes and always doing things to our fish rooms, whether
For
it's
sure.
whether it's getting new fish and swapping fish out of tanks, or getting new tanks, or
Mm-hmm.
rearranging things, or putting plants in different. It's never ending.
Exactly right. Even you can see, obviously, I forgot about today because I had a half drained tank right here, which I was just moving stuff out of. So, you know, even day by day, it's never finished.
No, it well. How many? Okay, I was gonna ask this later, but how many tanks are you up to now?
Yeah, I should know this because I did just move them all. I think it's between 50 and 60.
Sorry. Is that a too traumatic of a question?
Nah,
Moving all those takes, is that too triggering of a question?
all of them
Uh,
except about four I
Hello,
moved by
Jeremy.
myself, so it's not too bad. I like to sort of keep it within the limits of not having to, assemble a crowd, assemble the Avengers every time you want to just move a tank.
Yeah.
Uh,
So so then okay with that question, what's the biggest tank you've got?
yeah, the biggest one I've got, I can even kind of show you. You won't be able to hear me for a minute. It is right here.
Never count the tanks when moving.
That one
That's
right
just
there.
asking for trouble. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Move my co-op hat. You can see my Saratoga just there. That's a Saratoga
Let's
Lycardi, if
see.
anyone's interested. An
Oh, cool.
Australian, kind of. They're not exactly arowanas, but they are in that same bony tongue family.
Okay.
Move
Yeah,
that stuff onto the ground.
that's a pretty good sized tank.
Yeah, so that's a four
I
by
can't tell.
three by two.
Oh,
So it's not
geez. Yeah,
huge,
I'm not.
but I
Okay.
like the 3 foot depth on it because the larger fish can still turn around and all that sort of stuff. Ideally, I'd like like a 6 by 3 by two or something, but um, that does the job for now. And that one actually sat on my front yard for 2 years because I couldn't fit it in the old house. But yeah, and there's 4 Oscars in there too. Here they are.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
That's an awesome tank. Let's see. Let's see. So, how long have you been keeping fish for?
Uh, must be about 3 years now. So really not that long. But um, the good thing is like with all of that 5 years of watching videos, and we did kind of get derailed a little bit, but yeah. So when I was just trying to wrap my head around how physically Corey had his fish room, it led me down all of this rabbit hole of air pumps and all this stuff. So by the time that 5 years later I actually got a fish tank, I was pretty well prepared. I wasn't daunted by anything, and everything went really smoothly. And then within 1 week of that, I had 3 fish tanks. And I think within 2 weeks of that, I had about 7 fish tanks. So it went exponentially up from there. And before too long, might have been like within 2 or 3 months, there was a fish tank near every single water outlet in my house and every single like bathroom,
Nice.
toilet, and all that stuff.
That's
And my wife,
awesome.
she was like, this is just crazy. Like I'm hearing running water everywhere. Can you just go set yourself up in the spare bedroom? Because we were lucky enough had a spare bedroom at that time, and that's when I had my first fish room. And within about 6 months, you couldn't even walk around it. You had to sort of just do this and sort of shuffle around it.
Yeah, see, I'm still trying to convince my parents to let me use that spare bedroom. Haven't quite gotten there yet.
Never count
But
the
my
tanks when moving. That is true, Jeremy. Sorry, I was just reading
I
some of the chat.
no. So Jeremy was asking you, do you ever go and try to catch your own natives?
I'd really like to. I caught some when I went on holidays recently to Queensland. I just put
Amateur.
put some nets in the water. Wasn't anything too crazy. But where I am here, it's very cold, so we don't really have too much. We don't have too much that we can actually go and keep. Um, there's heaps of big stuff like Murray cod, um, or I think Americans call cod groupers or gropers or whatever. So we have a big species of them. Um, some bass, which are not like your large or smallmouth bass. They're different species, but they're that kind of size, like dinner plate size fish. Um, but not a heap of ornamental fish. There's pygmy perch, which are pretty good, but really they're brown
Oh.
fish, which have like red
Oh,
or yellow
yeah.
fins. Nothing too crazy. But all the rainbow fish and stuff, they live far up north, where it's a lot warmer than it
Okay.
is down here. The closest one we have is the Murray River rainbow fish, but that is even still probably about a 4 or 5 hour drive for me. As an electrician, would probably suffer a stroke if you saw. I agree, Bunny. Actually, so there was one PowerPoint in the old fish room, which I ran everything out of, and it actually blew up. It caught fire. Nothing got
Oh,
damaged. It was
jeez.
just black and all that. So that's why I ran it all from an extension cord for a while, and then I called a plumber. Plumber. That wouldn't have helped. I called an electrician, and I got 4 PowerPoints installed in there, but it still
Okay,
wasn't
that's
enough.
good.
Still wasn't enough. In this one, I've got 10 double PowerPoints. So
I'm not quite there. My room's my fish room, so I've got 9 now. I think like 5 or 6 actually have a decent amount of fish in them. Actually I have 8 because 2 of them I have stuff in, but I'm not actively doing anything really with 3 of them. So I've technically got 6 right now, 5 or 6. I think I have 2 or 3 that I want to do more shrimp in, but I want to get some different types and do a little bit more with them. So, um, not quite there. Hi, Eric. Hi, Eric Wyrock.
the plumber was really
Jeremy,
confused that day. True.
Plumber was really confused that day. Yeah, I would imagine so. I would imagine so. So I know that you have been watching videos for quite a while, but what got you interested in the hobby?
I don't know. I think just keeping nature inside, and it's just fascinating. Like I spoke earlier about neon tetras, and it just doesn't make sense. It kind of like Corey's fish room, it just doesn't make sense. The fact that these fish can exist and have these beautiful colors, it makes no sense to me. It feels like there's some sort of like mythical creature. Like how is it possible that this neon tetra has like these colors? I'm fascinated by it, and I continue to be fascinated by it. And then
How
I
big
worked my
he is?
way pretty much through most of the fish that you see at, your usual big pet stores. And then one day I went into an actual,
John
an
Larson.
actual fish store, and I saw some
Okay.
epistogramma in there, in particular the epistogramma mcmasteri.
Oh,
And same kind of thing. I was like, what? This fish looks like nothing I've ever seen before. It's got these beautiful like yellows, reds, all sorts of colors. And yeah, every single day, pretty much I find a fish that is new and fascinating to me. And I guess when that runs out, it will run out, but I don't think it ever will.
yeah. I feel like for me, usually I'm the kind of guy who kind of obsesses. So I like to, when I do things, I like to do it and I like going big and I like really getting into it.
Mm.
But it's been like 2 or 3 years and I feel like I get bored with things, but then there's always something different to do.
Yeah, yeah. Or you'll
Like it's
find some
not
like surprise fry or something, and it will just reinvigorate everything.
Well, that and there's so many different species and
Mm.
so many different aspects of the hobby that it's like okay, I'm getting kind of bored now. I need to spice it up. But there's always something new that I can find to change it up that I'm like, all right, I might be done with betas, but let's see. I kind of want to go bigger. Let's do some angels now. Or going from guppies. And I'm like, okay, I enjoy guppies. They're a great beginner fish. Let's see what else I can play around with. I don't know. For me,
Mm-hmm.
it's always, there's always something else. Hello, Crown Tail. Hello, ADHD. So I
Yeah,
don't know. For
exactly right.
me, it's interesting. It's like, what's the what rabbit hole can I go down right now?
Mm.
This
And
week, what rabbit hole can I go down?
for me as well, I really enjoy the feedback mechanism from breeding fish. You know, like they can't
Hey,
climb out of the
Craig.
tank and say, "Hey, look, I'm real happy today," but they can make more babies for you. So generally, when I get a species, I'm trying to breed it and then crack the code, make a few different generations, and then I'll just probably move on to something else. Yellowstone, the green pool is
That's
in
interesting.
Yamba, I think, in New South Wales. So it's probably, I'm way down the bottom of the East Coast, and that's probably about halfway up. So I don't know, about a 15-hour drive or something away from me. Um, and I saw Patty as well.
Cool, Yellowstone.
My kids absolutely love feeding the fish. They don't really get amongst much else, but they do like the fish. Actually, the other morning, my youngest, he woke up before me and I heard the fish room door open. So I immediately got up and like sprinted in. I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was just sitting in front of this big tank just watching the Oscars and all that. And he goes, "Oh, I'm just
That
looking
is
at the fish."
awesome.
I was like, "All
That
right,
is
well,
cool.
make sure I'm in here when you do it next time." But that's pretty good.
Dad doesn't mind until that door open that fish room door opens.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
I'm worried.
I
Hello,
could sleep
BDA.
through
Hope you're well.
an earthquake, but as soon as that fish room door just creaks open, I'm awake.
No,
Oh, that's
no.
true, Stephen. My kids do hate going to the fish store, especially because the one we've got here keeps the room hot and humid, so it's not a very
Oh
comfortable place
yeah.
if you're not a fish keeper. But if you are, you don't worry about it.
See, my parents don't like me going to the fish store because I could be in there for quite a while.
Mm. And
So
I'm prone
I
to
only get
just
to go a little bit, but
locking out a whole day. You know, cash in the brownie points with the lovely wife, just saying I'm off and I'm visiting like 6, 8 fish stores today, and the whole day is just dedicated to it.
yeah. See, unfortunately, I don't drive,
Yeah, that's
so
hard.
I have to get them to drive me, and they're always like, "How much longer are we here for?" I'm like, "Fine, we can go soon." And I'm only like, "It's only been 20 minutes. I could be here for like another 2 hours, but fine,
Hmm.
I'll hurry up. What fish do I want? Let's see. Hello, T
I'm
Bone. Good
sure.
day."
I'm sure we could find someone nearby that would happily have a little tour around for the day or something like that. Surely.
uh, yeah, see, the problem for me is there seems to be a lot of fish keepers in here that are from the East Coast. I
Hmm.
don't know. The only ones that I really know are Portland and Tazawa. But Tazawa
Hmm.
is like an hour away as it is.
Yeah, and
And
he's
I don't
real busy
like
these days.
most of them. I don't even know, like there aren't that many around here,
Okay.
unfortunately. Let's see.
Thanks, Visine. Appreciate that. I try to be. Get those kids doing water changes. Hey, Craig, how's it going? It still works on other people's streams, I think. S, how's it going, mate? What does Blake think is the biggest barrier of entry when it comes to keeping fish in Australia? Does he think the barrier
Uh,
is good or bad when it comes to the effects or the fish care? Um, Biggest barrier to entry. Honestly, I think probably the biggest barrier to entry in Australia is that everyone's preoccupied doing other things. Maybe we're pretty fortunate to have a strong sporting culture, pretty good weather, and even when it's not good weather, some fun activities to do. So most of the time, I feel like people just don't spend the time at home, if that makes sense. For me, that's not the problem. But that's what I think it is. Do I think that it's good or bad when it comes to the care? Yeah, I mean, there's not too many people on YouTube
That's
in Australia
crazy,
as well.
Craig.
I hear a
I
lot
know
of
like
people say
3,
that
but not
like
a ton.
it's a relief to have somebody mention Australian products or Australian meds and stuff like that. Um, so maybe that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd be a little bit worried about that.
Well, my oldest, he was watching me do the water changes the other day, and he was like on the opposite end of the hose, making sure that it didn't splash everywhere and go loose. So yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. Although these days I have a lot of like hooks and stuff that kind of drain down to a certain point. So yeah, who knows?
So then, I know that here we have a decent amount, but availability of fish. Like, I know some fish, as they said, are very expensive there versus here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have heaps of
Barrier
the
wise.
we have heaps of the big fish stores and stuff like that, which you can get your guppies, your goldfish, your neon tetras, platies, mollies, and that sort of stuff. Uh, but yeah, I guess capital cities is where you're going to get the best fish. Our shipping isn't quite that good here, although we do have some companies that do reliably ship out. Um, but the confusing thing as well is state by state, we have different rules on what you can keep, what you can't keep. For example,
I
in
think
Victoria, you
GR.
can't keep koi, but in New South Wales and
Yeah.
Western Australia, you can. Um, some places you're allowed to keep shrimp, but you're not allowed to ship them into state or bring more into the state, um,
I
and things like
I
that.
if I'm not mistaken, I think it was GRB was saying that they can't get ornamental shrimp there, which I was kind of
Mm.
surprised. But
Yep.
I
Because
think that's
GRB
where
is
it was.
in WA.
Got it.
There's also another guy as well who lives in Northern Territory, and they have really, really strict restrictions on what they can keep. Um, I don't think they can really bring much into the state, but and then Queensland, like what we were talking about before with the green pools, starting to notice some invasives like jaguar cichlids, jack dempseys, and so forth will start to become banned and noxious species because people can't help but to release them into the waterways and they can survive up there. So that's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. Well, if
Um,
they can survive, that makes it a little bit. Yeah, I can
hmm,
see that. That makes sense. Let's see.
a risk of Florida rising the place.
Yeah.
Australia is a more outdoors type of people. Nowhere near as many fish keepers as America has. Yeah, that's it. And I find that as well, like the online community is very strong in America. But like, if I was just sitting around with some friends and be like, oh, sorry guys, I got to go and live stream, everyone would think that I'm really strange because it's just not something that we do, or it seems culturally, how do I say it? I think Australians we're very self-deprecating and we don't really like to put ourselves out there too much. So by saying like, yeah, heaps of people want to tune in and listen to what I have to say, that just isn't something that really Australians do. Like we'd more be like, oh yeah, I got a little thing I just got to do. We wouldn't say, I don't know.
Well, as I mentioned, I was it's only 7 here, so we just finished eating, and there were like 9 of us, and we were I think we were having hot pot, and we were eating, and I told them, I'm like, after it was like we got there at like 5, so it's been like 2 hours, and after the 2 hour mark, I'm like, okay, I gotta go because I gotta go hop on my live stream because they one of the our my cousins likes to do fish too, but I don't think she's really into YouTube very much.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, they were kind of shaking their head, like, really? You're going, okay, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
What? So I'm curious. I know you said are neon tetras still your favorite fish?
Oh, nah, not anymore. I don't know. I don't know. That's a really tough question. What my favorite fish is? It's usually the fish that I just bought, the fish that I just bought, or the
Favorite?
fish that just bred.
Well, yeah, but that seems to happen quite a bit. So come on. Um,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of talk about pea puffers, and the
Fish
difference in
species
cost.
or aquatic animal? Oh,
There's
yeah, okay.
there are some pea puffers in there, which this will probably shock. It's not by any means a flex. I still would have bought them if they were $4 or what I paid. But originally, like 2 years ago, maybe longer than 2 years ago, pea puffers came in Australia, and it was like you never ever see them anywhere. So immediately I jumped on them, and the price was, and it got worse after this, but the price was four for $880 shipped,
With 3 gals, huh? Wow.
which I yeah, I just kind of did it, and then that whole night I was just laying like with my eyes open, like, what did I just do? That this is just craziness. But it was a bucket list type thing, like I never thought
Dang.
that I would see them ever again. So kind of
Yeah. So, do you breed them?
I tried to. Um, what happened was one of them got to like sexual maturity and then just became a real menace, and just basically attacked the others down to
Yeah, that'll
nothing.
happen.
Yeah,
That'll happen.
they don't call them murder beans for nothing, I guess. But I have no regrets about that either. You
I feel like that's a Roxanne term, but yes, they
yeah.
are little murder beans. I feel like most puffers are, but the pea
Mm.
puffers, it's amazing how small they are.
Yeah, it's still fascinating. I still have that original one, and
Oh wow.
beautiful fish. I just uh, other than that, the Saratoga is pretty cool. Um,
Okay.
Definitely, especially in that new tank. I'm really enjoying that. Um, what else? I quite like Maltese and other Tanganyikans as well. I've got some down in this tank down here. I've got some Cordopunctatus, Neolamprologus cordopunctatus. Really beautiful fish if you've never seen it before. White body, blue eye, yellow fin. But all fish have. Put it this way: if I didn't like a fish, it wouldn't be in the room because I don't have time for that. I like all the fish that I have in here.
Well, of course. I was wondering, like, okay, then, do you have a favorite species or a
Hmm.
favorite? Do you have a favorite species?
Not really. I'd
I
say
know fish
I'd
are
say I
hard.
just like
Fish are
variety.
hard.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
I like variety. Yeah, and I don't think I've seen people specialize, and part of me thinks like, oh, it would be really cool to be like, renowned expert in angelfish or something. But I
Yes,
just
John
think
Larson.
that it's a quick way to burn out on that. I think I like
Yeah.
celestial peldanias actually. Can you
Yes, I
probably
do
can't
too.
see back there? I I also have a couple of 3D printers, and I 3D printed this egg collection thing.
Yes.
I can probably try and zoom in. Let's see if this is going to work. Not really. Uh, no, I won't let me zoom. Anyway, 3D
Well,
printed this egg
the
contraption
egg.
here, and basically
Yeah.
what it does is there's moss on the opposite side, and an airlift sucks the eggs through. Every day I just go in there with a turkey baster or a airline and rigid piece of airline tubing and just kind of suction out all of the eggs. The CPDs aren't concerned at all. I don't have to catch them, don't have to bring a little tub in and out or whatever, how other people breed egg scattering fish. And I just find that because it's so non-invasive, I think that they produce more. And now that it's definitely a success, and I've got 4 different grow out tanks of CPDs, I've sold boxes and boxes of them now.
My God.
Um, I have
So
the same
jealous.
thing in with my dwarf emerald rasboras. Same thing with some chopre danios down there, and in with the redfin danios as well. And I think part of the interest is being able to combine the two hobbies, but also, um, egg scattering fish have always been like a bit of a headache for people. Like, yeah, I could do it, and maybe they'll spend the time and the effort to do it like once or twice, put the marbles in or whatever, and then collect them out. But it's not something that people do regularly and regularly and regularly because it's kind of difficult. So I like it. I like that it's kind of worked. And it wasn't just me waking up one day either. There's a guy down here called Mick Core, and he's the one that we had kind of two ideas and hybridized them together and got to that. And what he had was a 10-gallon or 5-gallon, and he printed a divider which the eggs went through to another side, and then they would all just raise up in the other side. But he found that once they got like 2 or 3 generations, the larger ones would start to eat the eggs and the babies. So,
that's a problem.
That's why I sucked them out of there, and then I put them in these hang-on breeder boxes, which any tank that doesn't have braces is usually surrounded by hang-on breeder boxes with some fly in them.
Oh, are those the Marina or Fluval hang-on breeder boxes?
Yeah, they're all the same. I think they all come out of the same factory, but those ones are Aquamanta. That's just the ones that I saw here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have like 6 of those now, I think. I need to do some more. I need to do some more with them, but I think I have 6 now, which I love those things. They're so awesome. Good.
Especially if you have an air loop really set up, it's easy. Just drill a hole, put a thing in there, and then
that's another bucket list thing I need to do. I need to get that in an RO unit. Those are the 2 things I want to do with my fish room. That and a rack, but that's down the road. But yeah, I definitely want to get an air loop.
Atkins, if I ever saw an Amazon puffer, it would be in this room. So I've never once seen them. I saw 2 Fahaka puffers once. I think they were $1,300 each. So I did not get those. Fish will be harder to get from the wild as more restrictions come in. Yep, definitely. I saw another question here. From Yellowstone.
Blake, do you have any videos on the egg trap? Yes, he does. I'm not sure. I wanted to. I don't know. I'm on my phone right now. I think I can put it in the comments and pin it later. But let's see. Do you think that the rules and regulations placed upon fish keepers are justified, and when considering they are justified when considering they are most effective against the giant fish farms and importers where biodiversity breaches can come from?
It's hard not to get political with that question, but I think realistically, when you set these rules and regulations, these huge overarching things, you've got to set them for the lowest common denominator, which is the person who doesn't know the things that you may know, or I may know. They're just people who stepped out of a pet store, fish was upside down in the bag, and then just tip it into the nearest river. So it's unfortunate that we have to do that, but it's also very hard to make rules and regulations that appropriately fit every situation. And so is it right? Probably not, but I think that could be said for just about any category that rules and regulations are placed on. So sorry about the seriousness of that one, but that's what I think.
Jen, I'm in the car. So, we just finished dinner.
Yeah, I agree with that, Bunny. We're definitely a lot of introverted fish keepers. I guess, by nature, you have your entire hobby the thing that you think about enclosed in a room. Usually they can shut the door, and it's not like if you're into something that you have to go to a sporting field and show off in front of people. A lot of us will probably be deterred away from that and end up in our garages. So
It's definitely a more or can be a more isolating hobby. So you don't necessarily need to be as social
yeah,
as you might in other hobbies.
but that's also another big reason that I started to make videos, because, well, part of it was to document it for myself, because I was getting so many things in and out and reading so many things, and I wanted to, have memories of that. And the other thing was to show other people too, because, I was telling my friends like, oh, look how many bronze cories I bred, and then they'd be like, yeah, that's cool. Never, don't talk to me about that ever again. They wouldn't say that, but and they obviously weren't interested, and that's fine as well. So I thought, I thought that it's a good way to share through YouTube. So, and I think that's pretty evident too with the community that's
It,
pretty strong here. And there's
it is
different
a
levels
pretty
of fish
amazing
keeping here.
community.
Yeah, some people make videos, some people attend live streams. That's all cool, so long as we're all having fun, then it's all a good time, I reckon.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, as long. I mean, the hobby is fun because you can choose to go down different paths and do a numerous amount of things that you would want to do. So
Mm,
it is really nice because you can do so many different things that I don't know. For me, it's enjoyable in the fact that it's up to your comfort level on how
mm,
far you want to dive into the hobby, what you want to do with it, what fish you want to keep, how you want to keep them. There's so many different ways of doing it, and it is more of a isolated hobby that if you want to be doing it totally on your own and solo, that it's great. But you can also have a community, which is amazing here.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
John's absolutely right as well. That I don't think it's puffers in particular, but it's just illegal to import puffers. So the ones that are here are supposed to be the ones that are the only ones that are here. Of course,
Oh,
people
wow.
will find ways to get them in, but yeah. Same with snakeheads, of course, and all that sort of stuff. For example, one that is quite common in the states that we can't have here is weather loaches or dojo loaches, although you can definitely go
Oh,
and catch them in the waterways down here as well.
oh, wow. Let me see.
Hemichromous
Hemichromo
wedges, Mexican.
species were
Yeah,
introduced into Mexican waterways and playing big havoc on a lot of Mexican species. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Um, okay, Blake, what would your dream tank be?
my dream tank. It's really hard. It'd definitely be planted. It'd definitely have a lot of CO2 and all that sort of stuff in it. Like if I had to put everything down to one aquarium, uh, it'd probably be it'd probably have like some it'd probably be like a 6x3x2 or 8x3x2 massive tank, because I'm only allowed
Okay,
one, and then I'd fill it full of like bristlenose, shrimp, um, maybe
nice.
swordtails, maybe wild type swordtails, and then like Peruvian
Okay.
ultim angels or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
Peruvian ultimate angels, and then I don't know. I'm always partial to discus, especially with a bigger tank.
Discus I do
I'd
like,
want some.
but the trouble is you got to keep them so hot, and then it limits everything.
True.
That's why I like
Yeah, that's
angelfish.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, bunny viper. So by isolated, I mean you can it can be a solo hobby. You don't have to do it with others. Some
Hmm.
other hobbies and stuff, you have to be more social. But in the fish hobby, you really get to choose how social you want to be and how interactive you want to be with the hobby.
Mm.
It's up to you, which is very nice and very fun.
That
And what
that
makes the hobby for me enjoyable, because it
that
is
can be
up
by
to your
design
comfort
as
level.
well. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but a
Well,
lot of
that's what
people
I
use
mean.
use fish tanks for escapism. So, I mean, isolation
And you
is
don't
kind of the thing.
and you don't have to deal with people. If you want to, you can come on YouTube, you can talk to others, you can go to fish clubs. So
Yeah.
it's as interactive as you want to be. I can talk to other breeders who are breeding
Hmm.
specific fish that I'm interested in. You don't have to, you can do it all on your own. I know that there are a lot of amazing fish keepers that aren't even on YouTube for whatever reason they don't want to. But I mean, it's as social as you want to make it.
Yeah, like
That
people
that
if
was
if
my
they're
only point.
into literature, you can join a book club or you can just read a book, that's on your nightstand every day or
Very
whatever,
true.
or
What got
movies or whatever.
what got you into YouTube? Was it just
Um,
information and availability or
yeah,
of
kind of what I
info?
said before. Just documenting for myself, sharing with others,
Okay,
and yeah, I just thought, why not?
that's
I saw
awesome.
there's another guy here in Australia in WA called Rumballs Fishing. We have a very different style,
Yes.
but
Hey,
we
Fish Ranch.
we get along very well, and we have a lot of good conversation about things fish related and not fish related. So I watched him for quite a while as well. I just thought, oh yeah, doesn't seem like seems like a good idea. Might as well put myself out there, see what happens.
Yeah, that's nice. That's awesome.
Definitely, John. And actually,
I don't.
I agree that um, most of the best fish keepers as well are not YouTubers because you can't
Yeah,
have this. You can't have the time to do both. Really, really, at that level.
and that's the thing. It's as social as you want to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, he does seem like a cool dude, um, Jeremy. He's pretty
Yeah.
funny as well.
Let's see. What
Yeah,
what
Danica.
is the what is the first fish or aquatic animal you've ever kept?
What's the what?
First fish or aquatic animal you ever kept?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was definitely that first fish tank, which had, I think, about 8 neon tetras and 3 bronze cories, 3 paper cories.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool little tank. Blue gravel, real top quality stuff.
There you
Plastic
go.
plants.
Was it a under gravel filter too? Did you
Nah,
have
nah,
like
it
a
was
little
a
under? Oh,
it was
okay.
one of those all-in-one kits that sucked it up to the top and had a trickle filter.
Oh, cool.
It was alright.
Nice.
I just bought it off eBay. Uh,
Oh,
and then like 3 days later, I had a little same kind of tank, but it was full of guppies. And then like the day after that, I got it home, the guppies just exploded everywhere. There was like a million guppies
yeah,
in
because guppies never do that.
there.
I will
Yeah.
say, luckily for me, well, luckily or unluckily, I haven't had. I can keep it down because I have very soft water, so they don't do the best in my water unless I
Mm.
actually do something to it. Do you have any other animals?
I've got my dog. He's a Harrier Hound, which is probably not that common. Nobody ever knows what they are, but if you can imagine like a beagle, but just with longer legs, that's what he is. Um, really, really great family dog. Super sweet with the kids and all that. Like literally watched my youngest child go and take the food out of his food bowl while he's eating it, and he's not even fussed at all. So that's really good. But thing about sandhounds, very mischievous. So He's got to be away from the bin, away from any food. Otherwise, he will eat it. But great little dog. And he, how old would he be? His birthday is on Christmas Eve, so it's pretty easy to
Oh
remember.
wow!
I think he's probably about 3 now. So yeah.
See, I can only imagine if you had your birthday or your birthday on like either a leap year or Christmas or Christmas Eve. Like I
Yeah,
would hate that. I would
me
hate that
too.
so much. I'd be because you know people are gonna be like, okay, here's your present for Christmas and your birthday.
Yeah,
It's like,
I would hate that.
okay,
I'm
yeah,
lucky. My birthday's
that would
in
suck.
May, so usually it's pretty well spaced out.
That's awesome. YouTube
Make him keep the waterfall tank.
I brought
I think
so
he's
many
had too
people.
many dramas with that
Yes, it
waterfall
has, John Larson. What was that?
tank. Jeremy's just saying that Rumble should keep the waterfall tank. It's pretty
Oh
cool
yeah.
if you haven't seen it.
Let's see. Um, do you have any other hobbies?
Well, 3D printing is a pretty interesting hobby, and
Okay.
creating stuff like that. I'd say kind of making videos is a hobby in itself as well. It takes quite a lot of time.
Yes.
And I play video games occasionally. Like for Christmas, I bought the kids a Nintendo Switch. So right now they're playing
Oh.
Smash Bros. I'm absolutely dominating them at that. Mario Kart.
Dad
And
still has still has several years before they start beating him.
yeah, for sure. Although my 5-year-old, he has picked it up very, very quickly. I've been surprised. He's pretty good at it
So
actually.
so you've got so you've got competition now.
Yeah, he has occasionally beat me, but only if I,
You,
if I throw a
you,
little bit.
so you can still put him in his place. It's not quite okay. Good. Hey
Yeah.
Adele, there's another Aussie as
G'day,
well
Adele.
as T Bones. I think T Bones and Adele.
And
I
Craig.
know there are a few others, but
There's a fair
Craig,
few here.
yes, there are a few others that stream.
Well, it's probably a good
Let's see.
friendly time slot for Australians, isn't it?
Yeah,
Public
I don't
holiday.
know.
A lot of people are probably
this time.
probably cooking in the heat. It's probably about 90 degrees most places.
Yeah, I found it funny because we went to Australia and I think we went once during the summer, and once during the winter. And during the winter, it's like okay, it's like there it's summertime, yet it's like Christmas. It's like okay, it's freaking hot and it's supposed to be winter. This is
Yeah.
so weird. This is so funky.
Yeah.
What's up with this?
I don't know. I actually prefer it that way, though. To be honest, like, well, I guess I've always known that way, though, so it makes sense. But I like to sort of, have a barbecue, chill out, have a few cold beverages at Christmas time. Makes sense to me.
So John Larson says the only thing that saves America and Canada is the water gets too cold for most tropical fish to survive in. If not, we would paste piranhas all over. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Adele says, woohoo! Aussie invasion. Let's see. We got, oh wow. Let's see. What advice would you give someone just getting into the hobby?
Yeah, probably the same as what I did. So you don't have to get a fish tank today, and even if you do, you're not going to be able to put fish in it today anyway. So use that period of time that you have to cycle your tank to absolutely binge all the information you can. It might not be YouTube, it might be, articles or whatever online, but yeah, I don't know. Just a lot of people, I think, take for granted that. For example, I was watching TikTok the other day. It was a dog trainer,
Huh.
and the people are like, "Oh, you know, I'm not very active or whatever. What dog should I get?" And he goes, "Get a fish." And then me being the person I am, I said, "Well, that's not really appropriate. Like a fish is still an animal too, and you still need to be pretty active. You need to change water out, have an appropriate size tank, all this information." I just thought it was a bit ironic that this guy is like, "Oh, how big is your yard? How many times a day can you exercise it? How can you afford good food for it and all these things before you get a dog, but get a fish?" And I just was like, well, just realize that there's a whole other world to that as well. And I think a lot of times just because they're $1 and the tank is $10, people think, oh, it's only $11, but still,
True.
you know, it didn't ask to go live in a toilet for the rest of its life. So I don't know, just just don't get a fish to have a decoration for your house. Get a fish because maybe it's the most
Research,
appropriate
research,
pet you can have at
research,
that time.
research. It's always research. You have to do your research before doing anything.
And
And yes,
always start
and
with the
yes, he is
biggest tank
right.
that you can get. Always.
That's part. Yeah, I will. Yeah, that's true. It is hard sometimes because you you do want a bigger tank for a certain for fish, but when you're starting out, it's like, do I really want to buy that big a tank? But it
Yeah.
makes life so much easier.
And just because
Like
the
you don't want
internet
a
says
small tank.
you can keep 30 fish in that size tank, just put 5 in there, And then you'll have 1/6 of the maintenance. Or I don't know, people. I actually enjoy a basically empty tank, like with a couple of fish in there. But newbies, especially, they're just like, I don't want the fish to be able to move. I want it to be so full of fish that they're just like, it's like a peak hour train in Japan. They're like, oh, you have to physically get in there and push the fish in so they can so they can fit.
What? Okay.
Good stuff, Yellowstone. We're
Well,
writing
I
books over
mean,
here.
it's arguing. I was quote unquote arguing with Joe Petraman, um, 1185, because it's funny. He uh, he is discus, and
Mhm.
he loves his discus, and he spoils them a lot. But it's funny because I like talking to him about fish, and and the hobby is so fun and so interesting that there's no one way to do it.
Mm.
Doing it, and it's up to you how you want to do it, and trying different things. As long as it works, it's awesome. But it was so funny because he's like, you can't put discus in a 50, which I kind of agree with him. But it's interesting because there are many people who stock their tanks, but they like to have a lot of fish in it,
Mm.
whereas other people, I mean, when like you just have like a jungle, sometimes it's just nice to have that jungle tank and not have to
Yeah.
worry about all the other fit, like all of the other things. Like when you have a jungle tank, yes, you can't always see the fish, but at least they're comfortable and they're breeding or whatnot. So it really depends.
Mm.
Hey, Mountaintop Puffer Keeper, welcome.
G'day,
Thanks for
g'day.
joining.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. Like at Christmas time, we hosted everyone over here, um, and people were
Oh,
checking out the
wow.
fish room, and they said, "Oh, have you ever thought about putting bigger fish in or more fish in? Because we can't actually see them in a lot of these tanks." And I was just like, I just kind of laughed it off, but I'm like, yeah, that's on purpose, you know. Like, I I I get much more joy than like if I see like one tiny little fry that just came miraculously out of nowhere versus like 80 peacocks in a big tank.
Well, and that's the thing. Like for some people, which I know for you, um, that is the case, where it depends on what you want to do. Like for
Hmm.
breeding, it's great. For yeah, for other things, it's great. Like yes, you want to have some centerpiece and you want to have a few more fish, but that's also more work. So
Hmm.
it's how much do you want to put into the hobby? Like anything else, how much do you really want to put into the hobby, and how much effort and work and time do you want to put into it? It really depends on how much you want to do and what maintenance you want to do. But it is nice
Hmm.
because you can choose, and different people have different ways of doing it. If you want to put more work into it, go ahead. You can stock your tanks more, but that also means a lot more maintenance.
That's true. Like
But you
yesterday when
can
I
get
did
more
the
fish in there.
water change, when I did my water changes yesterday, that was the first time since I've been in. So for some of the tanks in here, that was their first water change in 5 or 6 weeks. But the there was
Nice.
no ammonia
Wow.
blooms. There was no, you know, red gills or anything like that that you would see if there was high nitrates or high ammonia because they're understocked. So I just like having that buffer that when things get tough as well, you know, sometimes you do need to go a month or so without doing anything for you. I mean, I still feed them, obviously, especially the fry get fed every single day, at least once. But I just like to be able to sort of, if you had a real hectic week, maybe you go watch a movie instead of doing water changes, and you know you have to live as well. Otherwise, you're going to be out of the hobby pretty soon, and it's not going to be fun anymore.
Well, and that's part of it. Like some people, they have so many tanks. It's like,
Mm,
okay, if you have that many tanks that quickly, like you're always worried, okay, if you have too many fish in a tank, like burnout can be real. Like you can
mm,
get so burnt out. And having too many all at once, it's like, okay, you sometimes you need to take a step back
yeah.
and say, okay, I've got enough for right now, which is hard to do, but it's like, okay, I think I've got enough for right now. Let's keep it here for the moment and let's see how that goes.
Hmm.
And it is all about how much you want to put into it and how you want to keep it. Some people, they want to fiddle with the water parameters and they want to be able to keep the fish they want to keep. Others say, well, I'll just keep whatever fish I can keep in my water and I'm a happy camper. I don't need
Yeah,
to chase the parameters. But I mean, it's nice with the hobby because I can choose how much I want to do. How much time do I want to put into it?
mm.
Let's see. Are there any other questions?
I see there's one from S here. What opportunities do you think Australian fish companies have are not jumping on that you think they should be in terms of business? Um, it's interesting because the landscape is just so different. And we still have the large companies as well. Like we still have all the staples covered by your APIs, your CCAMs, your so on and so forth. Hmm. I don't know if there's a glaring opportunity that nobody's not jumping on. I've been surprised a few times where I've wanted to do fish store tours, and people have said no for whatever reason. And I explain like, I'm not interested in filming your algae. I'll get the angles edited properly so that I will literally only talk about the good things about stores. Because who wants to hear about what a dumper store is anyway? That's not a very enjoyable video. Um, so I guess the opportunities that places are not jumping on is to embrace the few of us that are making essentially free ads for them, which, yeah, I guess it might be a new concept for people. But how do you find? Do you? I don't know what it's like in America. Like it seems like some stores get really involved and embrace kind of embrace the internet culture, but here it's definitely not a thing.
Huh, that's interesting. And does that depend on store to store, or is that just all around? Usually, like it, fish stores around there just aren't as into it. Does it
Some are
depend,
really
or is
good.
it
Some
just
get it. There's a couple, but for the most part, I have to convince them and agree to send them like the unlisted video beforehand,
huh?
which I'm fine with. I'm going to do that anyway because that's just common courtesy, I think. But
Well, I mean,
that said,
I in my mind, I'd be like, I don't want to take up too much time, but
yeah,
like I don't want to make you have to like watch it, sit down and watch it, because depending on how much there is, that can be a very lengthy video. But on the other hand, it's like I'm not gonna put it in a bad light. Like one of the things that I always find funny about one of the fish stores, which I don't know if you've seen it, but Corey did a video on Ocean Aquarium.
yeah,
Did you have you seen that video by chance?
yeah. I've
And
seen
I
two or
it's
three
in
of them.
San Francisco. It's in it's in San Francisco.
Mm.
So I went there, and I went with my brother and my dad, and then I went with or we went to Ocean Aquarium, and then we went to another store which was right near there, like 5 minute less than 5 minutes away. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Aqua Forest.
Hmm.
And both places are great. One of them's been open for a long, I think it's been open for like 40 or 50 years. But it was so funny because my brother and my parents, it's not in the best neighborhood, but it's a great store. Although their tanks, you can tell they really have been doing it for a long time, because their tanks are not spotless like Aqua Forest. Like they have done it for so long that they know, okay, yes, although my tanks aren't pristine, it's an ecosystem. So yes, to some people it might look kind of dirty, but it really is an ecosystem. And you
Mm.
really like algae. I think it was on one of your streams. You were like, "Yeah, I get a bunch of comments from people that my tanks look like they have a ton of algae on it." But that sometimes that's what you want.
Mm.
That's it is good to have algae on there for fry and other things. So it's not just a pristine tank.
Yeah, exactly. And like I do have some tanks that could be considered pristine, I guess. And like if I had this tank here inside, yeah, it'd be pristine because that's the purpose of that. Like, but if I have a tank that's purely for raising up week old CPD fry, then of course I'm not going to gravel vac it out every day because half the fry would go out with it as well. Um, but as well as that, some of them would probably starve out or be undernourished because they're not eating all those supplemental foods. So um, I did a whole video on it, and still the comments in that video are like, "You're just making excuses. You're just lazy." I'm like, okay, all right. Enjoy your seventh goldfish for the week, and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I mean, but again, it is nice because it's how you want to do the how you want to keep your tanks, and as long as you're keeping them and they're doing well, that's what really matters.
For sure.
But yes, I mean, I don't know. I feel like here there are a bunch, there are a decent amount of great place. Like I think there are like 5 or 6 that I usually go to around here. They're like within an hour, and it's nice, but it's interesting just seeing how they keep fish and how different they are. Because I know Aquaforest too, like Aquaforest and Ocean Aquarium, they're really big into plants as well. One of them has really high end plants, and one of them just has natural, nice tanks.
Yeah, and
And
that's, I guess, part
they're
of the
different
reason
philosophies.
why I do tours. I mean, a lot of people might not understand it. They might think, it's a bit of a weird thing to do. Why would you waste your time? But sometimes you might have to make that decision. Like you might only have a couple of hours, and one store over here takes an hour to get to, one store over here takes an hour to get to, and you might be the biggest Lake Tanganyika nerd in the world. And if you've seen before that, there was a tour at this place, and they mainly do plants and nanofish, and then this place over here is big into African cichlids, then that's what you're looking for. So that's kind of the idea, and it helps me as well, because when people say, where should I go for the weekend, then I'll say, what are you into? Because these guys are great at plants, these guys are great at this, these guys have some really rare stuff if you're looking to lighten your wallet, and then everything else, these guys have healthy stuff or whatever.
What was your most difficult experience keeping aquariums?
Hmm. I had a lot of struggles with German blue rams. Um, yeah, I tried them really early on, and yeah, I don't. Some of them I kept really like 30 degrees Celsius, or I think like 84 Fahrenheit. I
Yeah,
think it
that's
is.
about 84.
Yeah, and it kind of worked for a while, but then yeah, I don't really know. I probably went through about 13 German blue rams until I got the ones that I've got now, and they seem to be doing pretty well. And I think that that's because of where I got them from. But yeah, I just for whatever reason, German blue rams just didn't like me, or I wasn't doing something right. But now I'm keeping them sand substrate, hot temperatures, plenty of caves and areas for them, and it seems to be doing a lot better. Um, yeah,
Awesome.
I don't know. I don't know. Could do a store tour of New Life Keysborough every week. I'd love that.
Is it that big?
It's not that big, although they have recently expanded. So there's a Keysborough 2, or I think they call it something like that, NLAK2 or something, which I'll have to go and check out. But they always have just that fish that you've never heard of, like what we were talking about before. That's just, you think that you know a lot about fish, and then you'll just go in and they'll have, like, I don't know, betta smaragdina or something like that, or like some strange fish, or like pipefish, or something that you've just never seen before. And that's New Life Keys, bro. If you want to go and be surprised, then that's where I go. But it's basically, in Victoria, the bay is like this, and I live all the way over here. So you got to drive like all the way around the bay to get
Oh,
to it.
wow.
So it's a full day job to go over there and all that, but well worth the drive.
Nice.
Australia has a problem of land. Everything's so far apart. One city is miles away from another city, so they keep certain things in an area. Yeah, well, like, so I live in the second biggest city in Victoria, which is Geelong, which isn't very big either. But there's only one fish store here, and it's mainly the guy specializes in African cichlids, so it's not really that great for me. But it's about an hour or so, a bit over an hour to drive to Melbourne. So usually that's where I make the whole day of it, because if I'm gone for at least an hour and a half up and an hour and a half down, that's pretty much the day's being a write off. GRB, yeah, sorry, mate, I forgot your comment. Yeah, I'll probably breed some betters. The better grow out up there, I'm going to probably move them into this better tank over here. So that'll free up a tank to grow out betters in. And yeah, I'll
Nice.
probably select out a pair and make some more. Why not? bedders, they don't grow out that fast. That's the only thing. So I don't find that they do anyway. So um, I just don't want to like backlog myself with too many bedders. But I'm really excited to see what the last batch looks like because the parents were really, really nice. So I do enjoy breeding a few bedders.
What is the most exciting part about the hobby?
New fry every single time, like hands down. I think.
Seeing the
I think.
different, just
Yeah,
breeding fish and seeing them, seeing all the babies that they make.
for sure, for sure. I challenge anyone to not enjoy looking at a baby fish. Like it's impossible. And
They
that's
are
part of the
cute.
reason why I really like saltwater and coral and stuff, and I kept that stuff for a few years as well. But you couldn't make any more of them, so it just became a lot of work. I thought so. If you couldn't breed freshwater fish in captivity, like if every fish was like a clown loach or whatever that you needed hormones for, I'd I wouldn't definitely wouldn't have 50 aquariums. I might have like three. Mm.
Yeah. Well, that's the part for me. Like, I enjoy. The hard part for me is I have, I think, 9 aquariums, and it's like I want to maximize the space I have, but the hard part for me is like I also want to be able to breed because that's what gives me the most joy.
Mm.
And I'm always like, okay, I want to put some other fish in this tank too because I don't want to just have that one species, but I also want to be able to breed them. So I guess I'll keep that tank open and just leave it for them.
Mm-hmm,
There's
mm-hmm.
just so many different fish that I'm like, ooh, I want those. I want those. No, not a good idea. I just want to breed that one fish. Let's just
Yeah, for sure.
keep it to that. Oh, um, okay, that's a good question.
Moina?
Um, do you have any experiences with Moina?
Um, not technically. I collected some ecosystem jars, and there was probably some in there, but uh, no, I've only done the ordinary Daphnia. So yeah, it's interesting though.
So is brine shrimp and Daphnia then your food of choice, live food of choice?
Definitely baby brine shrimp, but probably I feed a lot more microworms than anything else.
I always find microworms being kind of stinky, and,
I don't find it too bad. I
or they mold up.
No,
And
I don't find
it,
that.
uh,
Are you using mashed potatoes in yours? Because I don't do that. I use cereal, wheat bix, which I
okay,
don't know if you have a wheat bix, but it's kind of like flaked wheat, I think. And I just crush those up, mix them with some yeast, and that's pretty much it. Like it is a bit stinky, I guess, when you open it up, but it's closed 23 hours and 45 minutes of the day, so I don't worry about it outside
yeah,
of
but
that.
then it's like every month you have to reculture, and I'm always like, okay, now I have to open it up, and it's I don't know. I know that brine shrimp stink, but I feel like for me, I'm always like, oh, microworms.
Okay.
I just no.
Maybe grindleworms would be more of your thing then, because
Yeah, probably.
I culture the grindleworms on just a scourer pad, and then you just put
Oh,
like a pleco wafer or whatever bit of cat food on there every couple days, and that's it.
that's a good one. Let's see, especially an unexpected fry. That is always Matt. Yeah, I'm with you. I will say that one thing that's hard for me, but that I like is, which it can be a little bit frustrating for me, is the fry are so small. Like
Mm.
breeding the CPDs, I'm like, gosh darn, they are tiny little suckers.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So to feed them, like I've got day old CPDs and emerald raspberries in those hang on breeder boxes behind me. So I'll start them off. I'll turn all the airlines off and put vinegar eels in for the first few days, and then I'll put microworms after that. It'll it'll be a couple of weeks before they can even eat baby brine shrimp.
Vinegar eels for me aren't quite as bad because you only really need to change them out like every 6 months.
Yeah,
Although
that's true.
the smell of the vinegar sometimes is like, oh wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I
But
guess so.
yeah, I'm like,
Uh,
let's.
Funny, I've kept kochi tetras before. Beautiful fish, very active, tight lids. Bread and yeast smells better. Okay. Um,
I also heard yogurt,
okay. I
rice.
know some people do bread and milk, but that seems like that would stink. But I don't know. I'm happy with my concoction that I'm using.
Oh, I
I've
like
also,
John Larson. I like John Larson's.
true. I've also used rice bubbles before or rice puffs, um, and that worked okay. But yeah, wheat bix seemed to do it the best for me. Rice Krispies, there you go. Same thing. Have you
I,
tried grindle or vinegar eels? Yeah. So I culture vinegar eels, grindle worms, micro worms, black worms, baby brown shrimp.
blackworms. How do blackworms work for you?
Yeah, fine. So you just have gravel and then put some black worms in, and that's pretty much it. And I just get a turkey baster and squirt them out, and Bob's your uncle. I have a sponge filter in there as well, I should say.
Huh? I
Hyperdense VE, like microworms medium. Okay, no, I haven't ever heard of that. Hyperdense VE.
what was I gonna say?
I'll have to Google what that is. I might have to look it up after because I get too distracted. This is coming up with scans of a brain, so I don't think that's the right thing.
Blackworms. It's funny for me because blackworms. I always get in a little bit of an argument with Joe because again he has discus and he spoils the heck out of them. He buys like a pound of blackworms each week, and I'm like, that's
No,
a
you
lot of blackworms. I know he
don't.
has 12 discus, but still, I'm like, that's a lot of
No,
blackworms.
he needs to be culturing them ASAP. I mean, even like I've got 7, 8 shrimp tanks, and the blackworms all survive in there. So you can easily culture them in with shrimp, no problem. And then
And,
you
and
just
that works.
notice,
And that works fine.
yeah, there's heaps of blackworms in my shrimp tanks.
Oh,
Keeps the substrate nice and clean as well, and they'll
well,
just eat up any uneaten food.
I would think that this. Okay, that make yeah. I was like, I think that the shrimp would do that just fine as it is, but yeah, the blackworms, that would actually be a good idea. Many
Yeah.
of my fish I keep for their behaviors, and
Mm-hmm.
while I've never had coaches, I fell in love with them the first time I saw them swimming. I've never seen another fish swim like that. It's
Mm.
beautiful to me. That's cool.
They're very, very fast. Very hard to catch. So whatever aquarium you put them into, make sure that they're going to stay there because, yeah, it's a task.
I feel like that's with a lot of fish though. Like once I put them in there, I'm always like trying to catch them is just such a pain.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'd love to try and get my panda cories out of the angel tank, that 55 angel tank. But whenever I think about it, I'm always like, yeah, but then I have to catch them. And
Yeah,
catching
yeah.
them, I'm just like, do I really want to do it? Yeah, no, I think I'll just leave them in there. I
Especially if it's just like one fish or 2 fish, it's really a pain sometimes.
well, yeah, I have like 6 or 8 of them, but they're in a 55, and I'm like, do I really want to be chasing them around the tank?
Yeah.
No,
No.
I think I'm good. I think I'll just leave them in there. I think I'll try and catch my pygmy cories and do some of those right now because yeah, I don't think I really want to catch those out of there. I think I'd spend like 4 hours doing it.
Actually, pygmy cories, I was the same. I caught a bunch of them because I just sort of done them. I'd bred them a few times, and somebody on one of my live streams was asking me about them, so I just rounded them up and gave them to them. And I was worried about catching them as well because they're so tiny, but they school up really well. So it was like one or two netfuls and off you go. So
Huh?
pygmy cory is pretty easy to catch, surprisingly.
Well, I mean, I have them in a 10-gallon, so it wouldn't be too difficult. But like, I'm just like, if I had like, because the clown, the panda cories, I'm just like, yeah. I tried catching them, and I'm like, they just swim too fast, and it's such a big tank that I'm like, yeah, no, I think I'm good. It's always interesting for me because I'm like, do I maximize the space and do I try and get a bunch of smaller tanks? Because getting bigger tanks definitely helps. But
Yep.
I also want to be able to keep different types of fish. And sometimes the smaller tanks and having some like that's better. So I'm always like trying to balance that is ooh, there's another Aussie that I forgot about. Or New Zealander right near you guys. Not Aussie, but New Zealander.
Over
Let's
the
see.
ditch from Kiwi Land. Yep. Hey, Fish Kid, how's it going? Hey,
Don't be kid.
that is really cool. The
Yeah.
hyperdense vinegar eels. Just click that link there. Thanks, Crown Tail. I'm gonna definitely have to try that. Basically, you just culture vinegar eels like microworms. I've never heard of that. Never heard of this.
Yeah, now I need to click on that link so that I have it cuz and put it in the comments cuz that's I definitely want to check that out.
Mm,
I'm trying to open my YouTube, but I'm also on the stream, so I want to make sure I don't blast anybody ears out either. Okay, there we go.
yep, yep.
It's
Might
muted.
have to, might have to make this immediately after the stream. Earthworm culture is handy as well. Yeah, if you have a worm farm out in the backyard, that can be handy. If you got larger fish,
That
every time it rains, the Oscars usually get a few earthworms.
okay. Fish ring. Oh, I want to buy rainbow shark, female and male, putting them with my two big comic goldfish. Would you guys think getting them in my other fishes? Not quite sure what the question is, Fish Ranch. Let's see.
Okay,
What?
so you want to put a rainbow shark with two comet goldfish?
Oh, yeah.
They can be a bit nippy. It probably would work though. I yeah, I've never actually kept any of the sharks, quote unquote, unless you count Siamese algae eaters.
Well, I'm also wondering what size tank he has too for
Mm.
them, because that would depend on what size tank. I think that would help with my answer. Let's see. Ooh. Okay, let me get both of those links. I got that first link and then I'm like, oh, Crowntail put two links. I need to go click on that other one because otherwise I have to go back and I'm like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Whiteworm culture and now the earthworm culture have saved me with the CEO CF palustris puffer fry raising. Body weight and food per day per puffer fry would be impossible without. Yeah, that's true, Mountaintop. I want to do black. It's hard. I want to do black worms, but apparently they're California black worms. But I I was talking to Father Fish a few months ago because I wanted to try and get some, but apparently all of the places around or the place that had them in California shut down. I probably because of the fires, but I couldn't find them, and I'm like, bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks. But I think that's why. I think it was the fires took them out probably.
Good reason to get a culture then, because yeah, and then like if ever my culture crashes, I can just get some more out of the shrimp tanks, super easy. But yeah, excuse me. This is just my vinegar eel culture here, just a wine bottle, a vodka bottle, I think technically, but yeah, this is a bit more painful than that hyperdense sound. So I'm gonna figure out how to use this in a culture just like microworms now.
Wait, what is that?
Vinegar eels.
Yeah. Oh, and
You
oh,
don't do that?
well, yeah, but I've only found I found two bottles at the um, dollar store that seem to work pretty well for it because they have the longer bottlenecks. But again, I don't drink, so I always need to get them. But like we have wine bottles, but they're always dark in color, and I'm like,
Mm.
then I can't see them swimming up and see how many there are up there.
Yeah, this is just some cheap vodka. But I liked it because of the neck, like it's skinny and then goes out and then back in, so it like holds the sponge in there pretty well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I have some filter floss, but the first time I forgot, and so I'm like, okay, Dad, you need to tie a piece of fishing line, so just in case I need to, I can when I reculture I can get it out, because otherwise that would be a pain trying to get that out of there. Certain fish can get yeah, that's true. I noticed plecos can definitely get stuck with them being so spiky. I'm glad you click on it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm struggling to read that as well. If you could mention to me and link I sent him the video. I mean, I'd just say that you told me about it. Anyway, I haven't decided if I haven't figured out if it works yet or not. So I don't know. Oof. For another day.
It says, tell the folks to go with a nice white wine one night. Let's see. What was. Yeah, that's true. Only had five. What was I gonna. Let me go back. Sorry. 1 second.
I might have to jump off soon and make sure these kids haven't destroyed the house or
No. Yeah.
lit
Well,
the
I
place
mean,
on fire or something.
it's been an hour and a half, so
I can
no
hear them. I can hear them wrestling or something in the background. So they
no
clearly weren't distracted by Super Smash Brothers for long enough.
worries. Well,
They're trying to do some real life Smash Brothers.
it's been an hour and a half, so if you need to go, I understand it. Thank
Is
you
it?
so much for coming.
Was there any other questions or anything like that? I don't want to just run away.
Those were the main questions. I don't unless they have any other questions. I think those were the main ones. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
Let's see
well,
if they have any
been a
other
pleasure.
questions.
I've had a lot of fun. So thanks for asking me to come on.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Have a good
Anytime
one,
at all.
Blake.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I will see you guys next Friday. What were you going to say, Blake?
No, I was just going to say thanks to everyone in the chat as well. Been a blast. Yeah, really good. Always good to hang out with fishy folk. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Make sure that you guys go click on the links pinned click on the links that are pinned up top. I pinned all of his links, so go make sure you check out his channel and go show him some love. Thank you guys so much for coming on, for coming and hanging out with us today. Thank you so much for taking part of your holiday to come on here. I really appreciate it, Blake.
No worries at all.
And everybody, hope you guys have a great New Year's and great holiday. And I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.